Hi everyone, I'm Cody.
I'm Malia.
And we're
the Sanity Reporters.
Today we are going to speak about secrecy. We're going to talk about how our loved ones do things in life that we choose to keep secret, or for our sake, we don't want to be embarrassed and we don't want to really live in the moment of the negative that's happening around us, so we choose to keep that secret to ourselves. And it really contains a lot. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk to Malia a lot about her mom's addictions and where that put her as a child growing up and how she felt she needed to keep those secrets as well. But before we get into that, I just wanted to touch on a few things, just one thing really. I got some phone calls and personal messages about what happens when Mandy gets out and finds out. Mandy, for those of you that don't know, is my sister who's currently in jail, and this is my response to that. I wrote this late at night. It just hit me and I felt like I needed to jot some thoughts down. It turned out to where it actually flowed pretty well, so I'm just going to read it to you. We're more spontaneous people and in the moment improvising what we're doing with the show, but just this one time I'm going to read what I wrote because it really felt like if I'm getting a couple phone calls about that question, I was fearing that a lot of you are thinking the same thing. So here's my response. In light of a few questions and comments of the same nature after our first episode, I'm going to take just a few minutes to respond. I'm going to start with a quote that I found online. It says, "You own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories." That's by Anne Lamott, and I felt like that's the perfect quote for our show. It is everything that we're trying to get across to our viewers. So with that being said, Mandy is not just a family member. She's not just my niece's, whom I have custody of, mother. Mandy is my sister. Mandy is the girl I shared a room with my entire childhood. The girl I would beg to keep shaking her leg so it would rock the bed and I could fall asleep. She is the girl that stayed up late with me to watch British comedies late at night. Mandy is the girl that I'll love like only a sister can love the rest of eternity. Over half of my life, the attention has been on Mandy as far as her addiction goes, but there are siblings behind the scenes, the ones that cry alone, though they cry for themselves, their parents, and for the addicted as well. I'm tired, quite exhausted to be honest. I don't want to do it alone anymore. I want to know that what I'm feeling is normal and that others feel it as well. I'm not asking to be the center of attention. That's not my goal. I'm asking, for all family members of the addicted, for people to recognize that we're here. That's all. I won't always respond to any negative comments regarding what we are doing or to any of our episodes because we are confident, comfortable, and peaceful with what we are doing, with what our message is. This is a one-time thing. I felt like I needed to... Sorry, my thing is like jumping and I can't finish reading. This is a one-time thing. I felt like I needed to make you all aware of my personal relationship with my sister, show you some intimate details of growing up with her so you can all see that there is a real Mandy in there somewhere, but her choices have harmed me in ways that will never leave me. Even though I forgive her time and time again, she's done this to me. And now I get to own my stories and my experiences. Therefore, if I want to share them, I have the copyrighted version to do so. So that's that. And I feel like that's enough explanation on it.
I agree.
Okay, so we're going to move on. And we're going to start with Malia. Why don't you tell us about your experiences as far as secrecy goes with addiction?
Okay. So my mom, from the time I can remember, I'm going to say around 7 years old, once her and my dad finally split. I remember her moving us from Idaho back to California on a Greyhound bus. I was probably 7. My sister then would have been almost 6, and my brother 2, with just the clothes on our backs and a backpack. We left my dad in Idaho and drove, like I said, on a Greyhound bus. Can't even tell you how many hours that was, all the way back to California. that started the downward spiral of secrecy that my mom chose to have over the course of the next 20 years. No, 10 years. I'm going to say 10 years. Throughout the course of us living here with her and no longer with my father, she started hanging out with bad crowds. And as a young child, you don't want to think negative about your parents or your mom or what she's doing, but you can see in these people they weren't right.
Do you remember thinking that?
I do. I remember thinking to myself, these people seem different. Not what we're used to, not the kind of people you would maybe want your kids around. I can recall us living in Hanford. I was in the 5th grade, so it had been a few years since we'd been back here. And one story in particular, I remember it was 5th grade. It was right after school. I had walked home with my sister and my brother, both in, 3rd grade and kindergarten. And my mom wasn't home. And it must have been like a winter's night or something, because I remember watching the news and there was a tornado warning. And I remember thinking, I was so scared because it was just me and these 2 little kids, which was very normal for us at that time. And I had no idea where my mom was. That was obviously before cell phones and any way to get a hold of your parents, unless they told you. And being as how I was probably 10, I probably shouldn't have been home alone anyways with 2 younger siblings. And I remember sitting down in front of the TV and thinking to myself, I wonder if she's on drugs somewhere. And I knew that because, like I said, it had been a few years since we had moved back here. In the course of all of her actions of hiding, I felt like she was always in a room, always with the door locked, always with random people coming and going without introducing us, or, hey, these are my friends. We've been friends for years. I'd like you to meet them. Things that kids shouldn't be witnessing, as far as coming and going all hours of the night, waking up and hearing them drinking outside, and all the things that you don't want your 10-year-old to know, because I was pretty smart at the time. I knew what was going on, and yet she still kept it a secret. So back to my story. I remember sitting on the floor in front of the TV watching this tornado warning, scared to death because I had no idea where she was, or who she was with, or if she was even coming home that night. There had already been a few instances where she didn't come home until well after midnight, and by the next morning she wasn't helping us do anything. We were getting up on our own and getting fed and bathed and everything we needed to do by ourselves. And I just remember thinking to myself, I hope she's not dead somewhere. And that's a scary thought for a 10-year-old. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I can't tell my brother and sister. I can't show them any fear, which here, secrecy comes back to me. Now I'm having to keep a secret of where I think she might be, or who she might be with, or what she's doing, or if she's even coming home. And my brother and sister were little, smaller than me, and much more immature, and didn't realize or see what I was seeing. And eventually she came home. Obviously, no tornado came that night to Hanford. But that's where I really remember it kind of starting. And from that point forward, I felt like everything she kept, I was constantly sneaking around. I wanted to be in her room. I was always looking through her stuff. I was always eavesdropping on every conversation she had.
Do you know why?
I felt like I needed to find something. There needed to be a physical thing that I needed to see in order to, I guess, make myself feel like I'm not going crazy. Like, Mom's doing something. I know that. I didn't know what. I wasn't sure about exactly what kind of drugs, or if drugs were it, but whatever it was, I knew she was keeping a secret from us, and it wasn't a good secret. It wasn't a normal childhood, that the feelings we were feeling and the things we were seeing. So I was constantly looking through all of her things and listening to conversations and eavesdropping when people came over, and I'd get little things here and there, and I'd hear little things here and there. But up until, I'm going to fast forward a bit, up until my junior year of high school, so I was 16, up until we lived in a little apartment, my mom was no longer working. She had been laid off from a job due to drugs. Of course, that was a secret. I found in her closet...
secret from whom?
Everybody. Nobody knew this, even though we'd known it for years. I mean, it was so apparent. She'd lost friends, dated horrible people. It was not a secret, but it was a secret that she got laid off from this job, when in reality we all know is because she was using to keep up with the job. And then, you know what, eventually that's going to catch up with you too, so they're going to lay you off or fire you. Which two, I don't know which one it was for sure. But my junior year, I remember walking into her bedroom, going directly into her closet, and finding the plethora of drug paraphernalia. And I mean, like, I thought, oh my God, we're creating a meth lab here. And it wasn't meth ever. So at that point, my 16 years old, is when I finally saw exactly what I had needed to see to prove that over the last 10 years, I was not losing my mind. And it wasn't just a situation where this is a normal childhood and maybe I'm losing my mind. My mom had actually been hiding this secret. And I found it all. And so in between, there's 100 different stories I could tell you. And depending on topics each week, we'll go back and visit those horrible things. But from that point forward is when a good girlfriend of mine and her parents decided that we needed to do an intervention. So the secret would be out. This is it. No more hiding it. You can't pretend you don't have a problem. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. You're the only one who thinks you're keeping that secret, but you're not even keeping it. It's real, and it's apparent. We see it. And from that point forward is when, like I said, we had got together and decided we need to do an intervention. And we did. And that's when she decided that, you're right, I have been keeping the secret for too long. I can't continue to live my life this way. Her children were so far from what she thought we should be, because we knew she was keeping a secret of drugs, that she had to give up. She had to give in, and she had to take this opportunity to get better for her sake and for ours. And that's kind of where the secrecy ended for a good period of time. And then, it's been bouts back and forth since then. That was, 18 years ago, so there's been a lot more. But that was the initial start to the secrecy. Starting at a young age, taking that many years for it to actually become true. Mm-hmm. And in my, I physically saw what it was. So it was like me saying, oh, finally I can get this load off my mind. I'm not losing it. This is real. Now what do we do? Because she's been hiding it for this long. How do we fix this? How do we move forward so that there's no longer this giant secret, this giant elephant in the room that everybody can see but the person who's keeping it? And that also circles around back to her keeping a secret, but for lots of years, so did I. Like I said, I didn't share it with my brother and sister. I would hide it from any friends, of course. Nobody.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. When you were telling us about coming home from school that day, and you had your siblings with you, you also mentioned that you were already at a spot where you were getting up and getting them ready and getting yourself ready and doing the breakfast and all getting your day ready for you and your brother and your sister. Mm-hmm. So what was it like going to school and having friends that lived in normal families that didn't have to deal with the responsibility of raising their siblings? So do you remember going and thinking like, oh, they're not living like I am?
Absolutely. I remember thinking it must be so nice, number one, to have a mom and dad in the home, because that was foreign to me as well. And number two, having parents who worked and had jobs that they went to after they dropped you off at school every day and picked you up, or had babysitters and had dinners. I mean, I can remember, and this is, again, no cut to my mother. I love her to death. But we had a really rough childhood. I mean, we were dirt poor. I don't even know how we lived from one house to the next, to be honest, with her not working. I know public assistance was huge, and thank God for the children at that time, because we needed it. But I remember us walking home and having a box of macaroni and cheese, but no butter and no milk. Guess what? When your little brother and sister are starving, you're having mac and cheese with water. I can remember for breakfast it would be wheat bread, no butter, nothing, just toasted, and you eat the bread because that's what there was. The idea of knowing when I went to school that everything was normal, I craved it. And as we continue through stories, you'll find out that we were moved around a lot. In the 6th grade alone, I went to 6 different schools just in the first half of 6th grade, in 3 different states, mind you. So I became very good at making friends and faking. I kept that secret to myself because I don't want anybody to know that I don't live like them. I want to be happy on the playground, and I want to be happy spending the night at friends' houses, and that's what I did. And that was my secret that I kept for years. And, well, I mean, we're sharing it now, but,
well,
but that's the secrecy of it.
It is, because do not judge is a worldwide concept. Everybody knows you don't judge one another. But everybody also knows on the flip side that everybody does it.
Yep.
You, especially in elementary, junior high, and high school, I mean, those years are the roughest, especially for a child of an addict, because, or a family member of an addict,
Right.
whether it be your sibling or your parent, or your cousin that you're super close with. You have those relationships, but you, as a person, as the addicted's family, you kind of put up this shield where you know that you have it rougher than your friend does, but you're going to play it off cool. You don't have
Absolutely.
any problems because you don't want to be judged. And to think of all of the young children that are going through that right now, I mean, that it hits home for both of us. I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up right now. It hits home for both of us because I didn't have to really worry about it until I was in high school. And it was my sister. It wasn't my parents. Malia had to live it her entire childhood. But now I'm raising two girls that have to live that same thing that Malia's going through. And just because they're living with me and don't have to worry about being hungry or caring for one another any longer, it doesn't mean that they're not still dealing with it.
Absolutely.
Because they are. That's their mom. And that is forever going to be their mom, and they're going to feel loyalty towards her.
Always.
And so I know that they deal a lot with the secrecy issue as well, and the fear of being judged. And it breaks my heart.
It is. It's heartbreaking to know that's shaping. Number one, it's heartbreaking to know that that's shaping who they are. But number two, in a way, it's almost fantastic because that's shaping them to be different, to be better, to strive for better things in their life, which I find is amazing because I want better for my own children, and I want to give them things that I never had, and I want to share experiences with them that I've never had, and I know that your nieces are going to do the exact same thing, and it's gonna make them that much better in friendships, in work life, in family life, in motherhood. It's going to make such a huge difference for them. They're going to be the best mom and not even think twice about putting their kids in a situation that they have already been in. So it's you get the best out of the worst possible situation.
That, yes, you do. However, it's brought up a lot that siblings react differently, especially under the umbrella of their parents. So let's say, for instance, my parents didn't have any issues. They weren't alcoholics. They had no addiction problems at all. We had a really nice family growing up. We didn't have a whole lot, but we had each other, and that meant the most to us because I knew that I could go home every day after school and there was going to be something for me to eat. It may not be, filet mignon every day, but I was never hungry, and I never wondered where my parents were. Not a single time. I always knew where they were, and if I didn't, I knew how to get a hold of them. But bringing that up, my sisters lived the same life, and both of them had, one dabbled for a few years and got herself into trouble. The other one is still having issues, like I've already mentioned for, gosh, I think it's got to be like 17, 18 years, something like that. And I not once have had a problem with it. I'm not even a big drinker. I used to smoke, but I don't smoke anymore. It wasn't a real big deal for me to quit.
It's true, because again, we were under the same mother, and my brother and I have never been an addict. However, my sister has been in situations where that has come up. I won't talk a lot about it. It's not my story to tell whatsoever, and she and I are not on great terms right now, so I'd rather not. But it's no secret that they're that she's had issues. So again,
Right.
you're right. You're right when you say under the same umbrella, everybody can turn out differently.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
It is scary because you don't know what's going to happen. I feel personally that, I'm going to retract that because it's for my life, not what my parents did. My parents did no wrong, and 2 of their 3 kids ran into some issues. So I don't know the answer. I don't know why. Maybe we could do some research on that and see if there's any studies. I haven't done that yet. I should have thought of it ahead of time.
Or if you
but
guys
I really think about getting into that.
Or if you guys have any ideas, if you have been an addict and you're kind of from the same thing, grown up with fantastic parents that could do no wrong, no addiction issues, and yet you strayed one way while your sibling strayed another. Give us insight. Let us know because we don't know.
I will say that over the weekend after our first episode aired, I became somewhat of a celebrity.
Fancy.
Just kidding. But I did get people coming up and telling me some stories and saying that they did relate or they know what I'm going through. But don't put my name on that, they would all say. So if you feel that way, we completely understand. I mean, I'm almost 32 years old. You're 30
barely
something. So, and we're just now speaking out about this. And that's because we cried to each other. We had each other. So we know that not everybody wants to put their life out on blast the way we're doing it. So email us.
Anonymously? We'll take anonymous.
Yeah, we'll take it anonymous, or we'll keep your secret for you.
Yes.
We're really good at secret
very
keeping.
good.
So if you have any ideas or statistics or thoughts, opinions on as to why under the same parental umbrella 2 siblings can go 2 opposite directions, let us know what you think. Tell us your thoughts on that because I'm very curious to know.
As am I.
So, where did we want to go from here? Okay, so let's just end that.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at today. As far as last week went, wow!
I think I checked 2 days ago and we were at 283 views on YouTube.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I mean, that makes me tear up a little bit.
So exciting.
That's huge, you guys.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
so
you.
big.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're getting the support that we were praying for, that we did not know if we were going to get or not, and it totally worked.
Yeah.
You guys saw our vision and you know what we were hoping for, and we are so I'm checking our views right now. We are so thankful for all of your support. It kind of blew our minds.
Right.
And all the feedback we got on Facebook.
Oh, I was laying in the hospital bed, side note. I had to take my appendix out this Friday the 13th of all the days.
Oh, I never even...
No, of course it was. Of course. So I had to have my appendix removed. And I'm laying in the hospital bed and I'm just crying about all these Facebook comments. And I'm like, these people really love us. It's so nice to hear, wow, you girls are doing a great thing. Can't wait to tune in next week. I'm a subscriber. It makes us feel like we're not just jabbering on for nobody's business but our own.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
We really wanted to reach out and touch lives.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, I've been feeling a calling to do something meaningful. And so when my husband said, get a job, just kidding, he didn't say that. He said, maybe you should look into going back to school because if something happens to him, he's concerned that I don't have any real experience for the last, how old is my daughter? 9 years, because I've been a stay-at-home mom. So I started looking into things, but I was kind of troubling because I wanted to do something meaningful. I didn't want to just get a business degree and go to work somewhere. I didn't want to be an accountant. I wanted to be able to do something that meant something. And that's not very easy to come across, just FYI.
Especially to get paid for it.
Yeah, and decent money enough.
Right.
I mean, there's stuff that I could do, but they get paid pennies, and that's horrible. So I was struggling to figure that out. But now that I'm doing this, I feel like I've satisfied that need, and that makes my life so much easier because now I can go into something that I truly love and am passionate about, even though it maybe isn't really so helpful to other people.
Yeah.
But that's not even a positive, so I'm not going to go there yet. Anyway, our current views for the Sanity Reporters episode 1, 290 viewers.
Oh my gosh.
That's 10 shy of 300.
What? We don't even know 300 people.
So I would like to hear from you if you don't know us personally. I think that would be incredible. So if you've never met Malia or I, email us.
Yes.
The
Sanity Reporters.
No.
Nope.
Sanity
Reporters.
Sanity Reporters at gmail.com.
Yes.
There's
We're
no
gonna get
the on the beginning of that. Why she did that, I'm not really sure.
So confusing.
So shoot us an email right down below on the comments, right down there, that you don't know us and that you've come to see us. So thank you for joining us. And I do want to just mention, I did not write down whatever, I messed up, but I'm going to put it out there real quick that I found a scholarship for siblings of the addicted. This man and his wife have started this, I believe it was last year, and I'm going to get more information on it because it's incredible that they did this.
Like it is.
It's a written essay for the siblings of the addicted, and they give their lives, and they put it on paper, and they show what they've been through and what they have struggled with, and that they're coming out on the other end of it, and they're wanting to go to college.
Fantastic.
So we want to support that. Once I get my stuff together next week, I'll have all the information for you, and I'll give you the website. I know it's on the Huffington Post, is where I found it. So we'll have that link for you, and if you know anybody, then please give this to them and let them apply for it. Yes. Because it's pretty cool. I think he said one scholarship is like $1,750, and the other one was $15 something. So I'll get those numbers as well, and also I will get a contact for this man and his wife. If anybody is interested in donating to this cause, I think that would be really cool if we could even just, add another $100 towards cover a book, maybe. I don't know how much
I'm
books
sure
are,
or maybe a page in the book.
Maybe could be a page in the book, but it'll be helpful. So we'll get back to you on that next week as well. And I think next week we're going to discuss the responsibilities of the family members of the addicted and how we own that. So we'll be more prepared next week. My bad.
Sorry. My bad. Stupid appendix.
Yeah, I
messed us all up.
Really did. So thank you all for everything that you have done in viewing us and your responses to let us know that we're doing okay on this, and your support. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
And we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye.